as we dig into questions that you can ask potential prospects or even just during conversations you're having with friends or family, one of the key concepts here is that we really need to stop thinking about our own world and our own situation and really get interested in what's going on in their world, what's going on in your prospect's world, what's going on in the world of the person that you're having the conversation with. And what's magical is that when you ask great questions, what happens inside the other person's mind is it flips on the Discovery Channel, and they start feeding you information that normally they would have probably held back. So when you ask questions, there's part science to this and part art form, what we call essence and form. Essence is what do I say and what moves do I make? And form is how do I do that? Going back to that original idea that good salespeople have good answers, but great salespeople have great questions. So what are some of the questions that I ask people when I'm meeting with them? Well, we break it down by those 4 categories. And the first category is what is the problem? What is the key problem, or what is their pain point that we need to get them to tell us all about? So how do you open up that door? How do you open up that conversation? How do you flip on that Discovery Channel in their head? Well, one of the key questions that I always start with on every meeting is I generally say, we've got 30, 45 minutes here. I'm okay on time. Are you still okay? Why do I ask that question? Well, it's really important for us to make sure that we have a start time and an end time to our conversation, because what happens in other people's minds and what happens in our own mind is when we know the end time of a conversation or a meeting, we feel a lot less anxious about what's going to occur in the meeting. It quiets our mind. It relieves that anxiety that we tend to feel. And so first question I always ask people is, we're going to be meeting for 30, 45 minutes. Are you still okay on time? And I want them to say it out loud back to me. I want them to say, yes, I'm okay on time. Great. Well, before we jump into everything, I have a lot of conversations like this one with people, and everybody looks into this stuff for different reasons, whether it's life insurance or, I don't care if it's selling office supplies. Everybody looks into buying office supplies for different reasons, or everybody looks into buying life insurance for different reasons. Just out of curiosity, can I ask you specifically, what are yours? And then we just listen. It flips that Discovery Channel on, and they start talking about all of the problems that they've had up to this point. Another creative way of saying the same thing is when you first get to a meeting, you can ask the client, why am I here? Why am I here is a great starting point. It's a great supplemental question. The second key concept about asking great questions is to discover, why does this problem even exist? How did this issue come about? Where did it originate? When did it start? Tell me the story about what the problem is today, or what the problem is that you may see coming down the road. Is it a new problem, or has this happened before? Is this a problem that you've been dealing with over and over and over again? The more we can get people to talk about that, the more real it becomes to them. The more important that problem becomes to them, and the more they want to solve it. Now, the third section in asking great questions is this problem even worth fixing? Is this problem big enough and causing enough pain today for you to make a change? Is this something that you identify as an issue that needs to be fixed? So some key questions around that concept might be, what might happen if you don't do anything about this? What happens if you do nothing? Is your life going to change drastically? By asking that question in reverse, instead of saying, what would happen if you made the change? Well, that leaves it too open. That creates a confused mind. The mind starts grasping at straws. The mind starts trying to figure out, in a fantasy-like situation, what would the ideal look like? But when we ask the question in reverse, what might happen if you do nothing? That changes the picture inside the other person's head. And when we ask the question in reverse, what happens if you don't do anything? Or what could that look like? Or what might happen if you don't do anything? They do feel a twinge of anxiety, and the problem becomes more real. So is the problem even worth fixing? When you tried to fix it before, what do you suppose didn't work? What was the reason why you didn't make the change in the past? And is it worth changing today? That's what we need to know. Now, the fourth section of asking great questions, or the fourth part of the process, is, do you even want my help? Is this problem worth fixing? Is it a big enough problem that you need to fix it today? Or is it something that you can wait a few years to fix? Is it an immediate problem? Is it a reoccurring problem? But then more importantly, if we're to fix this problem, what would you like me to do next? How do you want me to help you with this? Do you want my help to fix this problem? And again, the goal is not to ask the question. The goal is to get the client or the prospect or your friend or your family member to answer that question out loud for themselves. We want to flip on the Discovery Channel in their head, not ours. We want them to tell us about their world, not us tell them about ours.